Carrying a few extra pounds in places that are difficult to hide? Have you tried to lose those pounds, but they just won't come off and stay off? Or perhaps you need some answers to the problem of belly fat. Well, stay tuned as we look at body shapes and how you can use these discoveries to help you get results with your specific weight problems.
I had some stubborn weight around the hips and thighs that I wasn't able to lose through exercising. I've exercised a lot, and as I got older and turned 30, it seemed like that weight would just predominantly sit in that area. So I was interested in losing the weight around there and also hopefully get more energy.
I was working out an hour and a half to 2 hours, 5 days a week, and I was only gaining weight and not losing weight, watching every bit of food I put in my mouth, and was very discouraged.
We are interviewing Dr. Eric Berg, a chiropractor turned nutritional researcher, inventor, author, and educator who has unearthed some startling information that can help you achieve your weight loss goals. Not only is he helping patients, but he's also teaching other chiropractors, medical doctors, and acupuncturists on his alternative healthcare techniques, along with authoring 2 books, Healthy Hormones, Healthy Life, and Body Shape Diets. Dr. Berg, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
You've done a lot of research here. You're based in Alexandria, Virginia, and you've kind of made some interesting discoveries here about the connection between body weight, hormones, exercise, the whole gamut.
Yeah, when I got into this about 18 years ago, a lot of patients come in and they think that exercising and dieting and that's going to handle their problem, and like cutting calories. But what I found is people, when they cut calories, it doesn't work, because there's some variables here. Because how do you explain the skinny guy that eats all this food, yet he still doesn't even gain an ounce?
Or the person I see in the gym every morning who doesn't seem to be getting across that barrier of really losing that extra 10 or 20 pounds.
I've had people exercise 2 hours a day, 7 days a week. I had one lady, she ran a marathon, 26 miles. She lost 0 weight. So people have this idea that to lose weight, they need to cut calories or exercise harder. So the problem is it's not working.
So how do you tell them? Because as you said, these are what everybody thinks. I need to cut back on what I'm eating, or I just need to get up earlier and exercise more. How do you separate the fact from the fad, so to speak, when it comes to weight loss?
Well, what we do is we, instead of taking opinions, which a lot of people have, like for example, they say, well, drink more water to lose weight, right? You need to drink more water. Have this idea that water is going to dissolve fat or burn calories. But I find when you drink too much water, the person, it bloats them up. So too many people are drinking too much water. And they have this idea that if I drink water, then I'll be less hungry. Well, maybe for about 30 seconds, but then you're going to actually just get hungry again, because water doesn't satisfy you long term. So the thing is, we're talking about calories, for example. Calories are units of energy. And let's say you exercise for an hour. You might burn about 300, 350 calories. That would be equivalent to about several tablespoons of salad dressing. No big deal. So it's very insignificant. So what I found out is that it's not the calories that are burned during exercise that has any significance at all. It's the fat burning that occurs 24 to 48 hours later after the exercise that's very significant, and that has to do with hormones.
Now, one of the things that everybody also hears, and we're getting into the hormone category here, is that it's metabolism. What do I do to kickstart, jumpstart my metabolism? I wasn't born with the metabolism that skinny people apparently have. How is that linked to hormones and then weight loss?
Good question. One of the things that controls hormones, basically controls metabolism, is hormones. So basically your hormones control metabolism. So hormones are messengers. They're the communications between different glands, between different cells. They control sleep cycles, how much weight you're losing, how much weight that you gain, hair growth, hair loss. So there's 623 hormones in the body, different ones. What I did is I investigated which one of those hormones are responsible for the fat burning effects. And I've isolated 6 fat burning hormones. And there's 3 hormones that actually make you fat. Each one is triggered by a different thing, like foods and activities and exercise. And I've classified these in a technology that someone can use to be a lot more successful, as compared to having this idea that I need to cut calories or work harder.
So you got to basically say, okay, these are the hormones that are causing me problems, or these are the ones that I need more of in certain categories to help me finally lose the weight, that extra, as we talked about, 10, 20 pounds that you just can't get rid of.
Exactly. Because
And let me ask you, is this affecting everyone? I mean, are these people who specifically are having these problems? Because, as you know, some people don't exercise enough, and that's why they gain weight.
Right.
Or some people do eat the wrong foods, and that's why they gain weight. But you're talking about people who are doing what we all think are the right things,
Right.
but not getting over the edge.
Right. The type of people that come to see me are the people that are trying everything and nothing's working. I mean, some people can lose weight on exercise and dieting, but there's a lot that can't, especially when they get older.
Now, the research that you've done, and as you said, you've connected all this to the issue of hormones. Basically, you've come together and you've said there's really 4 basic body types, 4 body shapes, if you will, that everybody pretty much falls into one of these 4 categories if they have a trouble losing weight, and that there's certain hormone triggers that can help alleviate each of those problems. First of all, how did you get there? And then I want to go through and talk about these 4 shapes.
Well, if you're having a hard time losing weight and you're trying to stimulate your metabolism, my whole thought is, wouldn't it be a good idea to actually find out what controls metabolism, what those hormone triggers are, and really understand them and use them to work for you instead of against you, as compared to going up a hill like this and you're like, it's nothing working, I'm trying harder, it's not working. So the fat on a person's body is distributed by different things. Hormones. So hormones, when they're actually not correct, they will tend to put weight either in the hips or the stomach or the buttocks. They will accumulate at different parts of the body based on what weakness that you have internally. So what I have done is I've taken that to the next level. I've given people strategic things that they can do to actually help lose weight faster. So you actually use the hormone triggers as compared to just focusing on calories, which are very insignificant, because hormones look at calories different. And even like fat, for example, has a lot of calories, but hormones look at them neutral. So
They don't distinguish between muscle and fat?
Oh, dietary fat. So in other words, people say, oh, avoid fat, you're going to get fat. But hormones are not triggered. Fat-making hormones are not triggered when you eat fat. They're a neutral food. So this is goes completely against what most people are taught. So that would explain why when someone cuts the fat out, it doesn't work.
They're still not losing those extra pounds. Let's talk about some of the individual body shapes. The first one is one that really is where you kind of have weight all over. Is that the way you would describe it?
Yeah. I'll show you a picture. This body shape right here is a type of body shape that I've seen very, very common, and it's not in any one place. It's distributed all over. So it's probably in the neck, and the arms, and the legs.
And affects men and women.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. And what I found when these shapes come in, I've classified them in certain categories. There's 4 main body shapes. I'm going to get into them, but there's some similar things that occur with each shape. For example, in this shape, you tend to have the person that is very, very sluggish and slow and tired. So they tend to be more depressed. They can't get organized. Like at their house, they have all these papers around. They just can't get it together. At their desk at work, they're scattered and dispersed. They can't focus. They're a little bit sluggish. They're tired when they get up in the morning. They tend to be real sluggish, and then towards about 7, 8 o'clock at night, they start to really get tired. So fatigue is a big thing. Another one is craving carbohydrates, sweets. Now, I had a patient who he said, I don't eat carbohydrates. I said, what do you have for breakfast? He said, apple pie from McDonald's. I said, that's a carbohydrate? He said, no, it's not, it's apples. So,
is that a common kind of thing you find with people?
Yeah, you have to define what a carbohydrate is. So I'll just define it. You have breads, pasta, cereal, cracker, biscuit, waffle, pancake, muffin, donuts, rice, juice, biscotti, alcohol, wine, beer. Those are all carbohydrates.
So if you crave any of those things and you feel fatigue and you kind of look like this body shape,
chances are you're
falling into this category.
Right. So definitely the carbohydrates are really big. And it's so funny because when you talk to people, they tend to, well, I'm going to exercise harder tomorrow. Well, I'll just eat it up and get out of the house and it won't be there to tempt me. I went to Whole Foods recently and I was getting a salad, and the bakery section's right across from me, and I see one of my patients sitting in there, right? And I'm just watching her. I'm seeing if she's going to do it or not, you know, because there's this big sample tray of double fudge brownies, right? I'm watching her. She's going closer, and she's walking back, and then she goes there, and she looks this way, and she looks that way. She's looking all around, and she grabs one of these, and then she looks up, and we catch eye contact. And she just got her cart and just started bolting this way. And I run back, listen, don't worry about it. Just tell me. You don't have to hide it. But it's amazing how people will tend to cheat on their diet and they want to keep it a secret. You know?
But also what you're saying, though, is if you are somebody who's craving carbohydrates and the like, just giving those up isn't going to make you lose this weight because there's other things.
There's other things going on.
So what do people have to do? If you look at this and you say, you know what, that's me or that's my husband,
Yeah.
what do you do with that?
Well, we have a very strategic way of handling this. What we do is we listen to the patient, find out about their history, find out about these characteristics that are very common so we can classify them in certain areas. And then what we do is we put them on a food eating program that is geared towards their shape. You can't put everyone in the same diet. And if you do, you'll be partially successful. For example, if you have one of the body shapes that we're going to talk about later and you put them on a lot of protein, they're going to end up with arthritis in the fingers. So you want to be strategic. You want to give them the exercise and the diet program that they need.
That matches their body shape.
Yeah, it's just a lot easier.
Let's talk about the second body shape, one of the other three that we're going to go through, because this is one that, again, affects both men and women and is really the most common, and it's called the pendulous abdomen.
Yeah, so check this body shape out. This is more of the hanging belly. The word pendulous comes from pendant, meaning hanging or sagging, because it's right in the belly, right through in there. And so this person, and it's very, very common, this person is stressed out to the max. This person has anxiety. They're nervous. This person is more depressed.
So this is fatigue. Stress isn't necessarily fatigue then in what you're saying here.
Correct. This person will have a hard time getting out of bed. They need coffee to wake up. And they usually go to this place, let me think of the name, I think it's called Starbucks. Have you ever heard of that? So they're standing in there in line and they get the coffee and then they wake up because they're stressed out. And because their body is in stress mode, they tend to have all sorts of sleeping issues. So, for example, when someone goes to sleep at night, they go through 4 levels of sleep. They go through the superficial to a deeper sleep right here. They go deep, superficial, deep sleep. And so they have the REM sleep up here, which is like the dreaming state, and then they go deeper. Well, with this body shape, I found they always have sleeping problems. They get up about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and they can't get back to bed, or they can't get to sleep, or they can't get out of bed. So their sleeping is messed up. And if someone can't sleep, it really affects them during the day because they can't function. They can be fatigued during the day.
And you tend to eat more also when you're tired, do you not?
Absolutely, absolutely. So what's interesting about this is, check this out. This deep sleep right here, that's when all the fat burning occurs. So let's say you exercise, right? It's not the calories that you burn during the exercise that are any significance at all. It's the fat burning effects that are created 24 to 48 hours later in sleep, in the deep sleep cycles.
So if you're not getting into the deep sleep cycle, which, as we know, many Americans are not, you're probably not losing the weight that you could be losing or should be losing just to even be at a normal level.
Right. So here this person is exercising and exercising harder and harder, and they can't lose weight. Well, they can't because these fat-burning hormones can't work because they're not getting in the deep sleep cycle. So they need to be able to sleep, and it really is a barrier for them. This person tends to...
This is body shape 1 again,
Yeah.
which is the all over.
Yeah, they tend to... they sleep too much. They can get sleep and sleep and sleep and sleep. These people can't sleep. This person, they're taking vitamins. It's not working. Like, they'll take all these vitamins and they don't see any effects from them because they just don't work. And so it's very, very expensive urine. They tend to have cold feet. These people tend to have hot feet. So
Interesting.
these characteristics are very, very similar in different shapes.
You mentioned brittle nails and the like with this one. What would be some other characteristics with this one?
This is an interesting thing because when the person is in stress mode, the body is actually eating up its own proteins or muscles. And specifically the thigh muscle right here. The thigh muscles, go first. So the body tends to eat up the muscles in the thigh and the buttocks and leaving kind of a flabby muscle or a shrinkage or a small muscle there. So when they get up, they can't get up too quickly because they feel their knees are weak because they're not strong anymore. That's this body shape, very, very common. So they have the skinnier legs. Now what the body's doing is it's taking that muscle, it's turning it into sugar. As fuel, they're running on sugar. They're not running on fat. And then a hormone comes in there, insulin, and that turns that into fat around the midsection. So basically...
Hence why you have the belly that looks like this.
Exactly. This is their legs. So they're going to the gym and they're working out, trying to build up the muscle. But the problem is, it's not working because they're in stress mode. Their body is so stressed out. And they can't absorb calcium. They also have calcium problems. They get cramps in the calves at night. They have pain signals. They have pain syndromes. They have arthritis, bursitis, tendinitis, heel spurs. Sometimes they get stones in the gallbladder or the kidney. They tend to have calcium issues.
And all these are linked to the weight, but also to hormones. It's all in there together.
Yeah, it all is. And obviously, we're not diagnosing medical conditions or hormones. We're kind of looking at the shape to help people with food and exercise to help them be successful. Because what I've done in the last 17 years is observe common things that occur with different shapes. And so I've classified them and I put them in different things just to be more successful.
All right, so we have 4 total. These are the first 2. Let's talk about the third shape, which, and this is one that I know a lot of women will look at and say, yes, that is me.
Right, exactly. This is more of the saddlebag or the thigh muscles right here. And they usually have a pooch right below the belly button. Now look at this. This is above the belly button and large, but they just have a small pooch right down here.
And do you find one particular body shape at different ages for a woman?
Yeah, this tends to happen after age 52. This is before 52. This usually is more of a female body shape. They tend to have problems with their menstrual cycle, PMS, and they crave creamy foods, comforting foods like ice cream, chocolate. They like that. And I don't know if this is for certain, but I think it has something to do with serotonin, and they need that comfort because serotonin will bring you up. It makes you feel comfortable, and they'll tend to crave the foods that trigger that hormone. So possibly it could be a deficiency. We don't know.
Interesting that, we talk about hormones and how these are 2 types that really affect a lot of women, one at a certain age and one at the other, which really shows you that hormones must be involved in some shape or form.
I think there's definitely a connection. And this one usually has hot flashes after the age 52. So I've just noticed that in that characteristic.
All right, let's move to the last body shape. And this is, again, one that affects both men and women, but I know a lot of women out there are going to say, that's my husband, that's not me. I mean, this looks like a lot of what you see on men.
This is the guy on the beach with the Speedo.
Right. Who made an unfortunate choice in a bathing suit, but yes, this is him.
Right, don't ask me why they wear that. This is more of a protruding belly, and I find it's more of a water weight. So if they actually, you can see it kind of like it's like a pot belly or a protrusion as compared to this body shape, which is a sagging belly. See the difference?
I do see the difference, yes.
These people, it's interesting, these people tend to have right shoulder pain, not left. And they tend to have skin issues. They have itchy skin, those little brown spots in the back of the hand. They tend to have little red dots on their skin. They have bad skin. And they tend to get stiffness in the back when they get out of bed. When they wake up in the morning, they get stiffness in the fingers, in the joints. They tend to have digestive issues. They tend to have, they're grouchy in the morning. So they're irritable in the morning. Don't talk to these people in the morning. But in the evening, they're very pleasant to be around. They crave deep fried foods. This body shape craves salty foods, like potato chips, popcorn, pretzels, peanuts. These people, potato chips, deep fried catfish, onion rings, French fries, they love that deep fried. When someone comes in like this, it's the worst thing you could feed these people. Fatty foods or heavy proteins, they can't tolerate it. So they tend to have a lot of weight. You see these guys at the gym doing the sit-ups and exercise. Exercise doesn't usually help this body shape because it's water weight.
When you've looked at all these body shapes, and the reality is that people have come into you you've been doing this for how many years now?
About 18 years.
And so when people come in, you obviously say, okay, this is what you look like. Here are the different symptoms you've had. Is this just been building basically from evidence from all the people that you've interviewed and worked with over the years that has helped you determine
Yeah, this has evolved.
the symptoms?
I've evolved as far as the classification of these problems. I've trained over 1,000 doctors on this technique and the strategic advice that we give people. But what we found is something very interesting. You've probably heard that you need to lose weight to be healthier, right? Because obesity is a killer, like diabetes and arthritis and all these other problems, right?
More than ever, you hear that on the news because we have more and more Americans who are not only overweight but hitting the obesity category.
Exactly. I found my own observation, this is my own opinion, I think that's absolutely not true. It's actually just the opposite. You have to be healthy before you can lose weight. In other words, your body is unhealthy, and that's why it's holding the weight. What we do is we have a different goal. We get the person healthy, then the weight comes off. I'll just tell you a quick story. I had a patient, she's 25 years old. She weighed about 360 pounds. She came in to see me. She was desperate. She was lonely. She wanted to lose weight. So she wanted help. So I put her in the program for the first month. Take a wild guess how much weight that she lost in the first month.
300, I'm going to guess she, I don't know, 25 pounds?
Zero weight. She did everything like I told her. She lost 0 weight. However, what happened was her energy was sky high. She was sleeping better. She was walking a flight of stairs and her legs were stronger. Her fluid was better in her ankles. She was smaller in size. So she was getting healthier, but she wasn't losing the weight. The second month, she lost 21 pounds. The third month, she lost 65 pounds of weight.
Wow.
So what I found is something very powerful. The person will lose weight in the direct ratio as they get healthy. So what we do with people is we focus on the health. Instead of trying to lose weight, because anyone can lose a couple pounds, they can lose water weight, but how do you get them in the fat burning and keep it off so to the point where they're stabilized?
Well, and I'm guessing you have a lot of people come in who don't tell me about this, don't tell me about that, just help me lose 50 pounds. I want to fit into this. I've got a wedding coming up in this many months. I mean, I'm sure you get a lot, because it's a reverse way of thinking. People think, no, I have to lose weight to get healthy, and you're really saying it's exactly the opposite.
Weight is a symptom. It's a symptom of something else. You have to evaluate. You cannot be fat and healthy at the same time. And so what we do is once you get healthy, the weight comes off as a side effect, as a benefit. So it's very, very a great program because you end up with a healthy body and the weight loss. And one of the reasons why people cannot keep the weight off is because they've never completed the healing of the body. They lost a couple pounds and then it comes right back. So we have a completely different angle.
I want to get into how people can now take this information and do something about it. But before I get there, let me ask you, what about all the different fads and diets that are out there these days? Everything from don't eat carbohydrates to just stick on protein to maybe if you just were living in France, you wouldn't be fat.
Right.
I mean, there's all sorts of books and ideas. How do you address those? I mean, why is it that Americans are having such problems with weight?
There are more conflicting pieces of information out there on weight loss than any other subject, and there's 12 big confusions that people have. I don't really have time to get into all of them, but I will tell you that the strategy that we use is we tend to take you an individual tailor-make program and give you exactly what your body needs, because different bodies need different diets. You can't put everyone in the same exercise program. Why? Because if you have a certain body shape and they exercise too much, it's not going to work. You're going to put more stress into the body. So they're already stressed out. So there's one very specific thing that I found related to hormones, and this is my own observation, and that is in Europe, people are thinner than Americans. In America, we use hormones to fatten chickens, cattle, turkeys, butterball turkeys, Thanksgiving, farm-fed fish. And I know these hormones do have influence on our body because young girls in America are getting larger breasts. They're going through their menstrual cycles earlier and earlier. That's a function of estrogen. So if we're being exposed to these estrogens, it could be that they're going in our bodies and are affecting our bodies. I mean, if it caused a turkey to become butterball size, is it possible it can make a butterball turkey out of you? Because it tends to bloat out our bodies. So
again, it's the hormone factor.
that's my own opinion, and I think that's true, because when people in Europe, when they move to America, they get fat. They go back home and they get skinny. So
what you want to do is bring people in and say, let me evaluate, let me look at you, here's your body type, tell me how you eat, tell me how many hours of sleep you get, do you exercise? I mean, are these the types of questions that you do when you give someone an evaluation?
yeah, and this is the missing piece. It's an extra step that most people don't do. They jump right into the solution of exercise and diet, but they don't evaluate to find out what is the person's problem, what type of exercise they're doing, what's the intensity, what's the duration, what's the rest periods. All these things, if you do it correctly, you can really trigger and influence the fat